Hello and welcome to GearHeads. My name's Jesse and today I'm going to show you guys all about this scanner and give you guys my 1 year review of it. I picked it up just about a year ago and I know it's been exactly a year pretty much because my subscription just expired, which is supposed to last 1 year. So anyways, in that last year, it's something I've used pretty much every single day, even a lot of times on weekends doing side work or after work, and it's really been a good tool so far. But let me go ahead and kind of just go over it with you. I'll tell you some more info about it, show you guys kind of some of the stuff it came with, some of the options that you could get for it, and like some of the stuff that I did get with it, and then I'll show it in use, and I'll tell you guys, you know, after showing you how it works and in use on a car, I'll give you guys my opinion on some things I do really like about it and some things I don't really like about it. So without further ado, here is my Maximus 2.0. So this is the Maximus 2.0. Now this is basically a reskin version of the Launch X431 Pro done by Matco, and it's kind of important to note this because Matco currently, or at least when I bought this, was the only licensed distributor in the US for Launch products. Now what that basically means is if you're not buying this from Matco, there is no guarantee that you're not getting a clone. The thing is, you know, a lot of the clones, and there's a lot of them out there, if you're talking about the Launch ones, they still can work for you, but you might have issues updating them later, and if you have a problem with it, good luck warranting it, stuff like that. One of the biggest reasons I bought this is because of that. I knew I would be able to, you know, put it on the truck account, and first off, that's, you know, made it a lot easier to pay off versus a giant chunk at once if I was to buy it online somewhere. And on top of that, I know I have a good warranty with it. I did have one problem with the dock itself actually early on, and that was taken care of no problem. And you know, I hope that it continues that way if I have any other problems in the future. Now obviously, like I said, there's a dock here also. Now this dock's really nice. This thing basically just sets in there, you know, charges it. There's also some more options on the back to hook up some USB. I think you can even put a screen on this thing. It's got an HDMI plug on the back if you wanted to run this screen up to a monitor or something like that. And then it's got a mount in the back, if you saw when I lifted it, for your dongle. So, and this is the dongle that you use to plug into the vehicle, and it comes with a whole bunch more dongles and adapters for different, you know, vehicles for OBD1 and EOBD stuff, like the BMW 20-pin connectors and stuff like that. So more on that a little bit later. We'll get to that when I show you, you know, before I put it in the car. Now I paid about $3,500 for this thing, and that was including the tablet itself, including the dock, and it also included the kit that came with it for all the adapters and stuff that I just mentioned. So I'll show you guys that in a minute, but let me just give you a quick runaround of the scanner itself and show you a little bit more about it. So this thing is basically an Android tablet. You can see down here, if I hit the home button, it'll go back to the this home screen, which you can basically set up however you want to. Let me just go back to Matco though, but that is nice to know, and I've found it very useful because with this thing, unlike a snap-on scanner, I can actually, you know, I can make screenshots of things, I can do screen recording videos. It has a front-facing camera, a rear-facing camera. If I'm pulling up service data, I can, I'll give you an example of this. I can save like a report of what's going on, a diagnostic report. I can save that as a PDF, link it with my Google Drive, and then I can come over here to my laptop and pull up that information there so I can compare it, you know, with service data and look things up or whatever. It makes it really easy. I also, you know, I can email if I wanted to diagnostic reports. So for just a basic quick show you how this thing works and how it's set up kind of is this is when you open the Maximus 2.0 app, if you shut the tablet off and turn it on, it will default to opening up to this, and this is your home screen basically, and it's under the tab of automotive at the top here. Now it has this VIN Scan feature at the top left, which is really cool. If it's anything newer than 2001 or 2-ish, it usually will find it automatically for you and pull up the vehicle info, and if not, then you can just scroll through here. You can see there's all kinds of brands in here, you know, anything you could think of. So one thing to keep in mind, it actually does have Buick, Cadillac, and Chevrolet, I don't think it has Lincoln though for Ford. Oh, maybe it does, but there is some missing brands like that. So sometimes if it's a certain brand name, you might have to just go under the parent company like Chevrolet, which by the way, I think it pretty much pulls up the same software either way. If I was to hit Buick, Cadillac, or Chevrolet, it would probably just be pulling up the same software. They just give you an extra button for it. Anyway, so this is the vehicle selection screen and how you get into it, and I'll get deeper into that with a couple examples and show you guys in a minute. It has a reset menu, so this is really useful for you're doing oil changes or a brake job. It does bleeding too, so like if you have an ABS system that needs to be bled, you can jump to this for a quick way to get to that. You can still access a lot of these through the other menu, the automotive menu, if you have the car pulled up already, but this is a quick way to do it if you don't want to do that, because it does take a little bit longer. So like there's even a DPF regeneration down here, TPMS reset, oil, SAS, so steering angle sensor. If you've done an alignment or you've been messing around with the steering for some reason and you had to call them apart, you can do that. So, and then it has a heavy duty option here, which you see I do not have access to, sadly. It's pretty expensive to add that software, and there's a favorites menu you can add here if you want to. Personally, I don't, because it's really not that hard to just scroll and pick what I want or do the VIN scan. One more thing here that is very useful, and I know Snap-on scanners have a history section as well, but they do not go as far back. I can literally go back from when I bought this thing. So let's see, 2018-05, so the 5th month of 2018, and we are now in the 5th month of 2019. And look, we can go down here, I think, see the first car. What's the first car I ever scanned with this scanner? So there's the demos down here. So it was a Ford F550, a 2010. Interesting. And it gives you information on them too. So let's see here. This is the second vehicle I ever scanned with this thing. So that just tells you, I can go way back in the history here. And this tells you how many cars I scanned that month. I scanned 63 cars this month, 46, 40, 30, 35, 52. You get the idea. But for an example here on the history, let me pull up this 2005 F350. I'm not going to hit the restore button, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. I did not hit the restore button. That is if you want to plug into the vehicle and actually pull the whole thing up in the scanner. If you just click above restore on this, it'll just pull the info up that it remembers. So this one did not get an odometer reading, but it has the VIN number up here, the year, engine size. So it depends on the vehicle. Sometimes it'll give you an odometer reading, sometimes it won't. And so this thing had codes for O2 heaters, P0135 and P0030. Anyway, obviously this is not really important. There's a restore button down there still too if you wanted to restore that vehicle data, but I don't. So anyways, that's just a quick look around at the software on this part of it. Now if you go up to here, this hits a menu for more options. There we go. Now there's a red dot up here. I don't know if you saw the red dot there, and that is there because this thing needs to be updated, and I just went out of date like a few days ago. Yeah, see, it says expired over here. So if I want to renew it, I'll need to talk to the Matco dealer about it. But anyways, and then it has a tab here for repair info. This page is a cool idea, but it's kind of a little bit of a gimmick, because all it really is giving you shortcut links to common repair sites. Like it has a link here to Matco's site, Identifix, Autodata, IATN, AllData, ProDemand, and then this is like what, ShopKey Pro. So anyway, you know, it's cool, it works. I have used it to click real fast before and go to that, but on another side, you know, instead of using the actual repair info tab here, what I usually end up doing is just hitting the button over here and pulling up Chrome, and I have bookmarks to Identifix and to ProDemand in here, which you can see are just loading up now. So, and I have Wi-Fi in here. The Wi-Fi here is pretty fast, so the reason it's taking a little longer to load the web page is honestly just because it's an Android tablet and it's not really the newest. You know, it's not really comparable to what you would be getting if you went and bought a brand new Android tablet right now. Most of these tools like this are not. But it does work well enough. The nice thing is I can pull up ProDemand or Identifix, so like it's loading ProDemand still, but not logged in. That's fine. I don't care. Alright, so that should give you an idea of how long it takes to load that web page. However, now that it's loaded, it actually usually works pretty well. You know, you can scroll through, select your vehicle year, put in your other info, pull up any data you want. There is a mobile version of this website that does work a little bit faster and is smoother. The menus are just laid out differently, and I'm not super used to it. So I wanted to show you this though because it is really useful and it's cool, because if I'm not in the shop with Wi-Fi, if I'm out on the go, I can still use this for side work. Even if I don't have my laptop with me, I can just hotspot on my phone to the tablet and hook up to that through the Wi-Fi, and then I still can pull up my shop data if I need to. So, all right, back to the Maximus app here. So a couple more things over on the side here. I can show you feedback, tech to tech. Those are other optional things you can use if you want to. I never mess with them. I don't think their community for tech to tech is very big, so I never really bothered with it. We kind of use, if we want to use something like that, we just use Identifix. It does have profile and settings down here. Both of these are basically just settings. You know, you can go in there and change your account info. You can change the info for how you want your fault reports to look, and there's a little picture you can put in there if you want to. But it does have this applications page. Now this is all for add-ons basically. You can see there's browser in here, but let's just show you on the list. Alright, so I'm sorry if it's a little washed out. I know it's kind of bright, but I got reflections behind me too. So it's got an oscilloscope option, sensor, which is a sensor box they call it, multimeter, battery, video scope, camera, browser, and ignition. So I'm not actually sure what the ignition one's for. I haven't used that. The camera just pulls up your factory, you know, the camera built into the tablet. Same thing with the browser, just pulls up the browser app. Now the video scope option is really cool actually. It's basically like a little video borescope that they sell with this thing, and it was pretty reasonably priced, so I bought it. I think it was like 150 bucks or something, and it plugs in via USB at the top of the scanner. And here, let me just show it to you real fast. So this is it. This is the handle section. It actually has a little button on it to take pictures with, and then this turns the brightness up and down on the very end here. So on the tip of the video scope here, there actually is a little bit of a light right around the camera, and you can adjust the brightness with this, which is really nice. And the other nice thing about using that little video scope option is the fact that you got a nice big screen here to see with, and it actually has a pretty decent picture quality. I mean, the screen's good, but I mean the actual quality on the camera that you can buy for this thing. So I think it would actually probably work with just about any USB camera you were to plug into it. So let's move on. There's a battery. Now these four at the top here, Matco sells add-ons that you can use with this, and that is what sets the Maximus 2 above the one below it. I know they have the Max Me Go. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it is. One of the cheaper ones is subscription based for the software, like month to month, depending on which manufacturer you need. You can do it that way. But there's another one that's basically the similar software to this, but does not have these options. And I bought this kind of because I wanted to have the option for the video scope for the oscilloscope, and I was interested at the time in the sensor box. I'm not really that interested in the multimeter, honestly. It's getting a bunch of stuff out and hooking up to the scanner just to use a multimeter is too much work. I can just grab my multimeter out of my toolbox, and that's so much faster to use. So a couple more things to mention before I move on is I did actually get the oscilloscope. I did not get the sensor box or the multimeter or the battery tester. I think I would honestly just buy all those separately, and I did get the oscilloscope, but I really have not been happy with it, honestly. It's the software for it sucks, and the resolution's not that good. I can still get waveforms and it works for me, but I definitely plan on upgrading to something better eventually, and for the price I paid, I kind of wish that it was better. You know, it's kind of a bummer, but I guess you live and learn after you buy things. So when I bought this, I spent a lot of money because I bought the scanner itself and I bought the scope with it, which was not cheap, but oh well. Maybe I can trade them in eventually to upgrade a tool card or box or something like that. Alright, now before I plug into the vehicle and show you guys this thing being used in action, let me go ahead and show you the adapter box with all the adapters it came with. So it did come with this nice box here that holds all the adapters. Now I have my BMW 20-pin one pulled out already because we actually seem to work on a lot of late 90s and very early 2000s Beamers here, and you end up using this thing a lot for that. So it's got that plug, it's got the Mercedes 38 pin plug, a Kia 20 pin plug, Daewoo 12. I probably will never use the Daewoo one. Mazda 17 pin plug, and we've got the Honda 3 pin plug here. Yeah, so we got the GM one here, and then on the left we have two Toyotas. We got the Toyota 22 pin and the Toyota 17 pin, and then this one was floating around. There's not a spot in here for it, I don't know why, but this is one of the old Chrysler ones here. So let's see, and then it's got all these adapters up here for plugging them in, whether you need to add power to it or not. Like this BMW one has this little plug on it, because some of the Beamers, you get your power through the 20 pin. Some of them you have to add your own. So anyways, hopefully that gives you a little rough idea. Let me show you one more thing it came with that I like. It also came with this nice looking Matco tools case, which is just the perfect size to put the scanner in. And it's kind of cool. It's got a couple little pockets inside. So what I use it for is I'll open it up. If I'm on the go, I'll have the instruction sheet that came with it. I'll slide my scanner in here, and then there's a nice little pocket here that's the perfect size for your dongle. And there's another pocket there if you want to put the charger or something like that in here with it. Just that was kind of a nice addition they included with it, because I actually do end up using this thing when I take it with me somewhere. Alright, so I'm going to go take this dongle, plug it into the vehicle we're going to check out, and show you guys how it works. And that's another nice thing, by the way. It's wireless, so the car is over in the bay right now, and I can leave this on the toolbox and scan it from here. Alright, the vehicle is in accessory mode, so it is a Chevrolet, but I'll show you the VIN Scan option. Let's see if it pulls it up. This is a 2005 Z06 Chevy Corvette. Now, let's see here. Alright, looks like it scanned the VIN successfully and decoded it, so it should pull the info up for us automatically. And I'll show this to you guys as much as I can in real time, so you get an actual idea of how long it takes to load. Now, it does depend on the vehicle, honestly. Some vehicles seem to be a lot slower than others, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's the software for that particular vehicle. Now, so here's the three options we get, and here's another thing. This is showing you how this will look on a Chevrolet. Now, this is a huge difference between this and even the Autels are similar to this versus something like a Snap-on scanner. Snap-on does a really good job of taking the software and making it look really similar and function similar for all the different product lines, and no matter what brand car you're working on, you'll probably be able to find what you're looking for in the menus, because it'll all be laid out just about the same. So what the Launch does is it mimics the factory scanner, the dealer scanner. So what I'm going to start with though is the health report. I'm going to show you guys that's a really useful thing. So let's see how long it takes. It's probably going to take a little while, and it will take longer depending on how many modules are in the vehicle that you're working on. If it's if it's something with a lot of modules in it, like something German, a lot of times it takes a lot longer than if it's something older that's only got 4 or 5 modules. Usually those are pretty quick, so you can kind of see how fast it's going through each one. So we got codes in the BCM, codes in the HVAC, scan the instrument cluster, safety system. Oh, 60%. Come on. At 100, well, 100%, but it's still scanning the last module, it looks like. There we go. All right, so no codes in the engine or transmission modules, body module, HVAC module, and there's codes in all these modules. So this is a really cool thing with the health report that you can do. It scans every module in the car and gives you this screen here. Now, if I want to enter the BCM, I can click it and it will load up the BCM module. But I'm gonna go back. And if you want to see all of the codes at one time, you hit the button down here for fault report, and it'll load up an actual report for you. Now, it has them all in list form here, so I can kind of select on the menu and make them all show at once or whatever if I want to. So that's just an example here of what this car is throwing codes for right now. But if I want to, say, send a PDF of this report to myself or to my boss or to somebody else, I can hit the report button down here and it pulls up this info. I can fill out, I can write in the engine size if I want. Sometimes it automatically fills that. It didn't on this in this case. I can fill in whatever other info I want though, hit OK, and here we go. Now it has my personalized diagnostic report. So this is one of the things under the personal menu back there. I showed you guys a little while ago. You can kind of change in the settings. You can set up your personal info and that in here. So I probably should block my phone number and other info up there out so I don't get calls from all you crazy people. But yeah, so it gives you a nice little list of everything. Right, so let me go back to the previous menu here, and just for for an example, show you guys kind of what this thing does, because it's a bi-directional scanner. It can control and actuate things. So here we got actuation test. Now we've got mirror heater, mirror up down. I can move the mirrors with this thing. You can test your lock and unlock functions. Let's see, what's that under? Which one did I click? I didn't see which one I hit. I don't know if I hit backlight or deadbolt lock unlock. But here, the windows are down, so if I lock it, we should be safe. So let's see, down here is lock. Okay, and it just locked. I'm sorry, there's a loud semi truck running in the background outside, but gotta do what I can here. So unlock, there we go, and the car unlocked. So that's it's just useful for testing things like that. You can test your motor. So the driver window motor up. Oh, it's going up. Let's go down, back down. I don't want to accidentally lock myself out or something. So since I'm not in the car right now. So anyway, that did that. And similar stuff for engine controls too. So let's go back here, ECM. So you can read fault codes, which we don't have any right now, but yeah, see, so there's freeze frame options in here, diagnostic test status, so that would be for your readiness monitors. And like I said though, this is just a quick run through showing you guys kind of how it works, because it's actually kind of different for every different manufacturer. They're all laid out just a little bit differently. But it's similar. You've got actuation tests, special functions. Usually that'll run certain tests. Like, I guess in here they include the oil life reset. Sometimes they don't put that in this menu. Sometimes they do. Crankshaft position variation learn, idle learn reset. So if you replace your throttle body on these engines, usually you need to actually do this idle relearn. Otherwise the car will not idle right. I've heard people say if you go drive it, it'll eventually learn on its own. But you know what? When we're in the shop, I don't have time for that. I swap on the throttle body, I do the relearn that it's supposed to, vehicle drives out a minute later, good to go. So before I put this thing away and tell you guys some other thoughts about it, I will give you at least a quick little example of how you can pull up engine data on this thing. Now I did notice this is different than most Chevys I see. I don't know if they kind of laid out the software differently for the Corvette, but there's several different options here when I went to data stream for engines. So there's engine controls, engine cooling, engine electrical. I'm just going to go to engine controls, engine data, and there's more data down there, so it'll kind of group it if you want to. Depends on the manufacturer, guys. So for other Chevys, like Chevy trucks I've worked on, usually there's just an engine data option. Oopsies, I hit evap. But usually there's just an engine data option. So let's do this real quick. Let's go ahead and give you an example. So this is a list here. Now this is something that the Snap-on does completely differently than these. Snap-on gives you kind of a preset organized list that you can go through and look at things. The way this scanner works is it gives you every option of data that you could possibly want to see, and you're going to need to go through it, select what you want. And Spark, I think that usually is your advance. So anyways, you need to go through and select the ones that you are actually going to want to see, and then you can either look at them on a data PID list, or you can look on them on a graph. Alright, that's enough. I got 8 things on there right now, so let's hit OK. It will load up right now. All right, so now it's got the data list out, and so this is long-term fuel. And the car's not running right now, so this is all just static data. But there you go. So that it lays it out in pages like this if you pull it up. But personally, I almost always use the graph function. I can see a lot more, a lot better. And if you want to, you can actually combine things. So if you want to just pick 3 of these and see them all laid out over each other, you can do that. There's been occasions that I've found that really useful. But yeah, let me just go start the car real quick, and then you guys can kind of see what it does. So there you go. Hopefully you can see well, but it's showing you engine data now. So when I first started, you can see the MAF spiked up at about 15 grams a second or so, and now it's a little bit of a high idle because the engine's cold. It should smooth out, and it'll probably get down to around 6 to 7 grams a second. Right now it's at 8.5. Gives you the hertz of the MAF sensor if you want to see that. I think there was an option for voltage as well. Depends once again on the manufacturer, what car you're working on, and how they have their sensor set up. But I get, you know, my long-term, short-term fuel trims. Looks like for some reason bank 1's running a little bit leaner than bank 2. It's adding 6% versus 2.34% on bank 2. I know this thing probably needs spark plugs soon, but we did a ton of other work on it, and it doesn't have to have them just yet, so the customer declined it. Probably wait a couple more oil changes to do them. But anyway, now you can see the short-term banks kind of going up and down here. Now here's the thing, it's kind of spiking up and down a lot, but what you probably can't see on the camera, you know, and I'll zoom in if I can and show you. On the left here, as far as percentage is concerned, right, whoop, oh there, I just made it full screen, so I guess this will give you a better view anyway. Right here, we're at 0%, we're only at 0.8%, negative 0.8%, oh, it not just jumped, now it's down to -3, so this is all within 2 or 3%. Even though it looks like it's moving a lot up and down, just keep in mind this spread is only about 5% or so of total short-term fuel trim. So nothing really to worry about there. Like I said, it kind of needs spark plugs anyway. It's also warming up right now, so I wouldn't really pay too close attention to the data. And like I said, the MAF seems to be coming down now, about 7. It'll probably drop a little more as it heats up. But yeah, so that's kind of how you can graph data with this thing. I find it really useful. It's really nice, and you can record. I don't think I showed you that. So if I want to record this right now, I just hit that button right there. So if I'm going on a test drive, you know, I need to focus on the road. I can't be looking at my scanner every 2 seconds, but I can go and drive and hit record, and when I'm done, I can play all of it back. So, you know, I can hit OK if I want to save it. Cool. So if I want to see it later, I can hit saved data. Pulls it up there, and I think it's this one right here. Oh no, that's my diagnostic scan, sorry. Different, record, there it is, sorry, top right, diagnostic record. And here it is right here. So select all, hit OK. We're only gonna get a couple seconds out of it because, whoop, combine, not combine. Go back, select all, OK, graph, and hit play. Let's see here. So now it's going to start graphing out exactly what I had recorded before. You should be able to see. So yeah, that's a pretty cool function. That's also come in handy many times. So anyways, all right, I kind of went all the way back. Let me go up here. If you get to a weird menu, just go back to diagnose, and it'll take you right back here. Now, if I feel like I'm done working on the car, I can go ahead and just hit end session here. Are you sure you want to exit? Okay. Don't forget VCI. Now, it's not doing it right now because it's plugged into the dock, but if you're walking around, it makes this terrible chirping noise to remind you so you don't forget your dongle in the car, because those are not cheap to replace. All right, so hopefully that gives you guys at least a quick look at how this thing works. I kind of went through a lot of it. If I missed something, I'm sorry. I tried to be somewhat quick about it and brief so the video doesn't take an hour, but I also wanted to be a little in depth and show you guys, you know, dig into it enough to show you how it works. And like I said, that was an example on a GM product. It is different on a lot of other things, so if you watch some of my other videos and fix videos, you might see it in use. Like after this video, I'll probably be doing we have a Ford in right now for a problem, so you might get to see some of the stuff this thing does on a Ford vehicle if you're curious. But either way, let's talk about what I do not like about this thing. I don't like that it's running on an older version of Android. I understand why. I know that, you know, they took a long time to develop this tool and put it together, and they can't just keep updating it all the time without putting out bugs and then causing issues for a lot of random people all over the place. So they try and keep it reliable by using something old and well tested. It does get updated every once in a while, but you know, it's kind of at Matco's discretion, since this is a Matco one, not a launch. I don't know how often, if you got a launch one, I don't know how often, you know, updates get done for that. I would imagine it's similar, but either way, I do wish it was a little bit newer version of Android. The newer versions seem to operate a little bit smoother. They're laid out a little bit better, but overall, it's still a good thing that it's Android versus, you know, versus the Snap-on ones that run on Windows. You just do not have quite as many features available to you as you do with something like this. Now, like, see, look, I just got emails coming in right now. Oh, look at that. Somebody commented. I get this can be distracting, so if you have this scanner at work and you're on YouTube, maybe don't turn your notifications on, or don't log into accounts like that if you're gonna have a problem. But yeah, I just got a YouTube comment and it gave me a notification for it right here on my actual scanner at work. Other thing I don't like about it, so having it be wireless is a huge plus. The one thing I will say though versus the Snap-on scanners is that, you know, or at least, and not just Snap-on, a lot of the other ones that actually physically plug in, they give you data a bit faster. So if you're pulling up data PIDs on an engine or something, it's going to update faster when you're watching a signal on a sensor. This does all right, and it's still fine for me. If I want to look at something really in depth, I can break out the oscilloscope. That's why I bought it. And in any case, an oscilloscope is going to be able to let you see stuff like that a lot better than even a scanner that plugs in is. I think that's probably about the end for what I don't like about it, at least of what I can think of off the top of my head. But let me tell you what I do like about it. I really do like the wireless. I know I talked about that. It has a little bit of you know, pros and cons. The Snap-on wireless ones do still go faster than this because they have a different system for their wireless stuff. This is, you know, that OBD dongle goes into the car and it's all digital from there. The Snap-on's got a little bit of a different system where it converts signals through its little Bluetooth box or whatever. I don't know a ton about it, but I do know it does actually work a little better for that. Either way though, for the price I paid for this tool, I'm super happy. For about $3,500, it came with, you know, the scanner, the dock. It came with all of those adapters, which has also come in big handy. There's been a lot of times the other guys in the shop didn't have that adapter or this or that, and I can go out and plug into that old car or whatever it is and pull up some data versus doing things the old school way, which, you know, a lot of times on OBD1 cars, nowadays, a lot of guys don't have scanners that can actually talk to those. I also love that this thing is an Android tablet. I know I said that I wish it was a newer version of Android, but being an Android tablet makes this thing a lot more than just a scanner, and it makes it a lot more useful as a scanner and as a tool in the shop. You know, being an Android tablet, there is more tools available to me. If I want to, I can print service data, or I can print screenshots or wiring diagrams or whatever straight from this thing. I don't have to go to the laptop if I don't want to. I can save fault reports and send them to myself. I can send them to a customer if they are curious and they want to see it. I can send it to my boss and say, hey, this is what's going on with this car. Here's a list for you, so you can talk to the customer and tell them what we're going to need to do to diag it and stuff like that. And overall, I just really like that it's an Android tablet. Honestly, it gives me a lot more tools than some of the similar Snap-on scanners would give me. Now, I like that I can hook up some of the other stuff into it, like the video scope, the oscilloscope. I know that Matco sells the other stuff for it, like the launch products for a multimeter, a battery tester and stuff. Honestly, in my opinion, it's better just to buy those things separately. I should have just bought a picoscope instead of getting the scope to go on, and add on with this. I was hoping they would work really good together, and before I bought it, they had mentioned something about getting, some picoscope software, so I thought maybe there would be some updates made to it at some point, but that was over a year ago now, and it hasn't changed at all, and the software is not that good for the oscilloscope. Overall, for the price I paid for this thing, I think it's a really good tool. I'm really happy with it. It works awesome, and I use it every single day. You can see there's times in there I've been scanning things like, 60, I think the first month I had it, I scanned like 68 things that month. And obviously I was probably pretty excited to use it, so I was plugging it in every chance I got. Versus now, I'm more used to it, so if I don't have to get it out, I don't necessarily, but Yeah, you know, I'm grateful that I've had this tool. It's really allowed me to learn a lot, and it's allowed me to progress as a technician. And that's one of the reasons I bought it. And I think that's a big reason a lot of technicians buy scanners, because you start to realize if you want to up your game and you want to go somewhere, you really got to start providing the things for yourself and learning them and getting good at using them. Because that's one thing about me having to borrow scanners and stuff before I bought my own. You know, I didn't always know if I went to one guy's scanner or the other guy's scanner. I was just a lot slower at having to pull things up, look for the certain data I want, or do a function or whatever. Once I got my own, I got good at using it. I am a lot faster. That is another thing to mention, though, speed, while I'm on the subject. That's one more thing that would be a bonus of the Snap-on over this. The general overall speed seems to be a bit faster on the Snap-on ones. To me, though, I'm willing to trade a little bit of that speed for the added functionality that this thing has. So anyways, I hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. You know, this thing is a little older now. The Maximus 2.0 has been out for a while, but I think a lot of people might still choose to use it because you're going to be able to find them for a decent deal. Same thing with the launch scanners. Matco is coming out now with the Maximus 3.0 soon, and I hope to be doing a video on that in the next couple weeks if I can. Thing is, though, I think that one's a lot more expensive. So this one was, like I said, I bought it for around $3,500. The Maximus 3.0, I believe, is going to be coming around somewhere around $5,000 to $5,500, and that's a pretty big step up. And honestly, in my opinion, is putting you a lot closer to some of the higher end Snap-on scanners. I know the real high end Snap-on scanners are still a lot more, but it is something to consider. You know, if I was a tech that just had all the money and money was no object, honestly, I probably would have one of the Snap-on scanners, one of the higher end ones that has an oscilloscope built into it, because I know the scope software on those ones are decent, and I still would have a little bit more speed than this one. And then as a backup to that, I would also still either have something like this or an Autel, because these have a little more functionality than the Snap-on ones do. So, you know, everything has its pros and cons, but for me right now, only having, you know, one big boy scanner, this has done the job great for the last year, and I've been super happy with it. So if you guys liked the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell down there, and that'll alert you to when I'm putting more tool videos out, or how-tos or reviews or whatever. You know, we do all kinds of stuff here on GearHeads. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one, and as always, keep wrenching.